Welcome into the second episode of the Middle of Nowhere Gaming Podcast, the official video game podcast at KU, or at least we hope.
What?
I am your host, Courtney Osborne. Today we have the entire team here with us, and we have Nate over here.
Yo.
Brendan.
Hi.
And Jess.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Alright, anyways, to catch you guys up on a little bit, we are actually recording this episode for the second time. The first time was a total failure because Jess just sucks.
Alright, let's blame it on the woman.
Yep.
Just kidding. But also, we ordered pizza there in the first episode, so you guys are going to miss out on that entire segment. It was pretty funny.
We had a special guest appearance from the fist of the pizza guy.
I was going to say this right now. Pepperoni jalapeno pizza, easily the most delicious kind of pizza. If you don't agree with me, you're just wrong.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But now we're making coffee, so you'll get to hear that segment when it happens. Maybe. Anyways, alright, let's move on to the news. The news this week. First up, today, EA canceled next year's college football game. Back in July, the NCAA announced it was not renewing its license with EA, and conferences all started backing out, including the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. But none of them really matter because, the Big 12 is the best, and they're still in it, but they're not going to be now that it's canceled, so it's whatever. Jess, do you really care about this? Do you like the NCAA games, right?
Yeah, I do.
So is this like a blow to your ego, not having it next year?
No, they're the same. So like when they stop being stupid and fighting, then eventually they'll turn out another one, and I wouldn't have missed anything. So
yeah, I mean I agree, but I loved playing them every year with all my friends. Okay, why? I don't understand that. But sorry, I'm looking at Nate, and Nate's making this weird face at me. I don't know why. It's like trying to turn me on or something. I don't know. Anyways, next news: Atlas launches a teaser site. They say there's gonna be an announcement in November, and it looks like it could be Persona 5, which who knows really. But there's a Persona team logo in the bottom corner, which leads everyone to believe it's the long-awaited Persona 5. That we'll have to wait and see, obviously, until November. But a lot of people are excited. They've been waiting for Persona 5 for a few years now. Does you guys even care about that? I don't play Persona, but I want to.
I haven't heard of it until today.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, Persona 5 sounds really awesome.
Woo!
I have friends who are into it, but I never played it, honestly.
Eventually.
Yeah, I've never heard of or played it.
I hear a lot of people have a lot of like waifus in that kind of game. Like it's definitely like a waifu simulator from what I hear. Like you can totally like date women and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's a dating simulator.
What's waifu?
Waifu is like a fictional character that you have like a romantic attraction to, like a legitimate romantic attraction to. Like I say that like my waifu is like Jar Jar Binks.
Isn't that
because,
like the entire?
I want to hug Jar Jar Binks and like I want to swim in the sea of Naboo with Jar Jar Binks.
I like Kairi from Kingdom Hearts. Well, I did when I was little. Now it's be creepy.
But yeah, like like the body pillows and stuff. And,
okay, anyways,
that's weird stuff.
Jess, you have some news.
The indie games may not be on Xbox One until 2014.
Before we get off this, by the way, if anyone knows of a Jar Jar Binks body pillow that I can
Don't
buy,
start this.
I will buy it. Please let me know in the comment section if it
Jar
exists.
Jar Binks is a guy, you know that, right?
I don't care.
Jar Jar Binks is
My
a shit.
love for Jar Jar Binks transcends all bounds.
Misa Jar Jar Binks. Alright, Jess.
I think you just got a little look.
What did Phil Harrison say?
He said, I don't think we're going to see things at the launch. Harrison said, I don't think it's realistic to see a developer get the program and build a game and get it into the market until November 22nd. It's reasonable to expect in early 2014 we'll start seeing the first games come through.
Honestly, that's bullshit. I mean, Xbox One has said for a long time now that they're an indie console and that they've been supporting it all along. Even though at E3 they announced that they weren't going to support it, they weren't going to give indie publishing rights, and now they supposedly are, and it was supposedly in the plan all along. But the PlayStation 4 has been all along, and it will have several indie games at launch, which unlike the Xbox, so I think they're hurting themselves on the launch lineup. If they don't have a lot of indie games, how many people are going to want that? They have Dead Rising. What do you guys think? Do you guys like indie games?
Yeah, I like indie games. I think they're
You play a lot of them?
underrated.
I think the indie game is way too broad of like a definition.
It is.
It's kind of overused.
Yeah.
Like I hate those like indie retro style platformers like Fez and like VVVVVV.
Yeah.
Like I just fucking
I
make
like
something
playing
different.
them for like a while, but I wouldn't go out of my way to continuously follow them. So it's not as big of an idea as big of a deal for me, but
Yeah,
I wish Xbox was kind of a bit more.
I don't really play indie games, but I mean, I know I understand how it will hurt them, but it's whatever. Other news: a PlayStation 4 bundle has been announced in Europe, and it'll include Killzone Shadowfall, 2 DualShock 4 controllers, and a PlayStation camera, all for $500, which is the same price as the Xbox One in Europe, and which also contains FIFA for free. So it's a way of competing with Xbox in Europe. So it makes a lot of sense. Sony said that they're going to have more announcements soon, which is tomorrow, which in our case is Friday, in your case was last Friday, because we record on Thursdays and release on Mondays. So sorry if you already know the answers to this. But anyways, so that, yeah, would you guys be interested if that was only $100 more if it came with 2 controllers, a camera, and a game?
Yeah,
would that be, I mean, would that compete with the normal Xbox? Since for us, it'll be $500 for the Xbox One, and then if this was the case, it was $500 for the PS4, the camera, 2 controllers, and a game. Would you be okay? Would that sound enticing?
I mean, if I had to get a console, I'd already get the PS4, so it's not going to change my decision.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, I think it hurts the Xbox One to force people to buy the Kinect in general because, I mean, some people just don't want it. But the fact that you can get the camera and the controllers for the same price is just...
That sounds like a really good deal, actually.
I mean, it sounds totally like Ron Paul-y of me to say this, but like I don't like the feeling of having the Kinect like secretly watching me while I play.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't want it watching me while I'm
on
whacking.
your computer, like.
Well, yeah, but like I don't use it.
I keep mine unplugged.
Yeah.
Moving on, Sony has announced that for every $50 you spend on PSN, you will get $10 credit back until October 29th, which is a pretty cool deal. You know, if you want to go buy a new game, like you go buy Tales of Exilia for like $54 and you're going to get $10 back. So you're basically spending $45, something like that. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. I like it. It's a way of transitioning into the PlayStation 4, which will release 2 weeks later. Another news is the Steam OS and Steam Box were announced for the most part this week. It says that they're going to have a Linux-based OS. Nate, can you explain that? I mean, I don't really understand.
Okay, yeah. So, like, Steam is doing this thing that's basically similar to what Google did with Android. And so, like, they're basically developing, like, their own OS based around Linux, which is, like, this free and open source OS. And they're distributing it up to a bunch of hardware manufacturers to make their own, like, miniature gaming consoles that play, like, PC games under a universal, like, operating system. So basically this means is that for PC development, instead of having to develop for like Mac and then also for like the 5 different versions of Windows that people still run, do you know that like 10% of people still run Windows 98?
Oh yeah, I know. My grandma does, I think, or she used to for a long time. But like Windows 7 was out.
Most developers these days still have to develop even or support compatibility for like things like XP at this point. And and Windows 8 actually is like hell to develop on. I don't want to get into that, but
yeah, Windows 8 sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, so basically it's creating like a direct competitor, an open source competitor to the locked out console market that exists today. And it's going to really revolutionize what things are happening. And so Valve's making their own Steam machine, the GameCube or whatever, the Steam Box. I don't know what it's called.
I heard something about streaming games from your PC to your TV. You could do that with this thing, right?
Yeah, and you can do it already, actually. There's things called Big Picture mode, and that works with consoles and gamepads and stuff. There's enough silence now if you want to pause it and look at it. I can cut it in and out. Ooh.
Recording on a different track now. Is that good? Is that bad?
It's not bad or anything. Yeah,
it's a penis.
So it's good.
So I'm
just waiting for like a period of silence here because. Okay, yeah. So you can already like stream things onto the like your TV at this point using Big Picture mode now. So it's pretty interesting, and it's going to really change the way that PC gaming works and just gaming as a whole.
Now, I also heard that there's going to be several different companies that are going to be making Steam boxes. Like Microsoft is interested in it,
which is weird to me, honestly, because like it's kind of like Apple saying they want to develop like an Android phone. But I mean, maybe they're trying to get into it now, but who knows?
Would you guys be interested in buying something like Steam Box where you could play Steam games on your TV? You know, buy BioShock for like $2 and play it when it goes on sale.
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting idea because I've never heard of Steam before I became a part of MONG. So, like, I think it would get me into PC gaming and, like,
I agree.
I don't know, yeah.
What about you, Brendan?
I don't know, it probably wouldn't affect how much I use Steam anyway.
Yeah.
Since I just don't buy that much because I'm already buying like other games. So
now, do you have any idea about a price point? Like anywhere it's going to be?
No idea.
Because
I assume it'll be less than the Xbox stuff, or around the same price.
Yeah. That sounds
it'll
about
probably
right.
be in like the 300 400.
It's like a normal computer these days, and if you're only going to be using it as a gaming, like streaming device or something, that could make sense. Mm-hmm. I would see that.
For something priced about the same price as like a netbook, that's kind of...
Oh, yeah. Well, this thing over here cost me like $300, so, and
nice.
it's just all for school. All right, let's go into the topic of the week. Nate, you want to start us off with your topic?
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about how narrative interacts in a video game. So, like, you know, there are a lot of games coming out that are essentially just like interactive narratives, like Gone Home, for example, where you're basically, there's little gameplay involved apart from piecing together the story that you're inside of. So that really brings us to the, you know, top question, you know, what makes narrative good in video games? And to really look at these questions, I think that it's important to look at games as how they're experienced in comparison to other types of fiction, for example. So like when you read a book or you watch a movie, the experience is more psychologically similar to like a mouse wandering down a path filled with cheese. You move along the straight path and you pick up the cheese of plot points and emotional context, and you continue right down along the path, and as long as the cheese tastes right and isn't paced too terribly, you'll want to keep going. But I feel like playing a game is more akin to like a mouse driving a car filled with buttons down a path filled with cheese, right? Because you're basically in like this Skinner box when you play a game. You mess with the buttons and levers until, you know, suddenly a small piece of cheese pops out, and then that's when you move along the path again. And so slowly and slowly, you'll become more comfortable with the controls, and you'll get the correct input. And even though things might become more difficult, as long as you keep succeeding, you'll keep moving down the path, you know? So I think that getting to the emotional reward of victory and the feeling of success and progression, as well as figuring out the narrative puzzle pieces, is a much more active and involved process in video games than it is in film. So, but it's still one that follows like the linear march. So I feel like the definition of what a good narrative is in gaming has to be drawn from how games are progressed through. So like when the game pauses to show you a cutscene and it takes you out of the world of the game and into the idle state of watching a movie, I think that's a poor utilization of the medium to tell a story. Truly great narrative in a game, I feel, exists within the context of the game itself. For example, like in Half-Life 2 or Deus Ex, where there's no cutscenes and you experience the game like inside of the gaming world. And so I feel like when the input of the player, you know, and that's what directly affects the story around you, and nothing's taken out of it, and you can create, and the story is also different for each person who plays it, I think that's something that can only be achieved through the medium of a game. And so I think while you can have interesting stories told through cutscenes and stuff, if you're essentially just pressing, you know, X amount of buttons until Y is completed so you get Z cutscene, I think you're wasting the storytelling potential of a game by denying your player agency over their own plot. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, I get your point. There are several games who do good storytelling, like during the gameplay, obviously, you know. But there are other games, for example, Final Fantasy, who tell stories through cutscenes, and they're beautiful, and they're just like things that I don't think you can do in game. But I see the perks, you know. I see why you would do things like that in certain games. But in other games where it's hardcore story and all this crazy stuff's going on, and there's no way for a player to pay attention to everything in the story that's going on at the same time as trying to play or survive or things like that. Like in those situations, I see a really good reason for cutscenes and for stoppage of gameplay and things like that. And I mean, it's whatever. It's different game companies do their own thing. So, whatever you guys.
I personally like cutscenes a bit more because I am horrible at paying attention to things from the beginning, so if they start telling the narrative in-game, I will usually miss it. So...
yeah, I love cutscenes, but I don't mind them because, well, first of all, they're in a lot of the games I play. And second of all, because I like Assassin's Creed where, like, some of the storyline you actually play, like, at the end of, I think, Revelations, at the end of Revelations, you're playing...
Don't spoil. Is there any spoiler?
Yeah.
Well, don't spoil.
How do you not? Okay, whatever.
It's been out for like
be
2
very vague.
years.
Yeah, but be very vague.
Okay. Just like when you're, like, for an example, when you're playing, you're the main character dying, or if you're playing, like...
If that happens.
Yeah, or if you're playing, like, I don't know... I can't really use another. Just buy the game. Anyways.
Go to GameStop.
But like Final Fantasy, the first flashback that I saw was
Yeah.
just beautiful. Like I couldn't have seen.
There's no way to there's no way to tell that during the game because it does not take place during this current timeline. It takes place back in the past,
Right.
And it's just like you can't. For example, they fly around on a bike around fireworks and stuff like that. That can't happen in the game, or it would be impossible, and you wouldn't be able to pay attention to what's going on between Snow and Sarah during that scene. So I don't know. It's a strong storytelling device if used correctly.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for example, like Deus Ex, like, they tell a hell of a story and a multi-layered, very complex one about conspiracy theories without ever taking you out of the game itself. And so I feel that, like, I mean, because, you know, like, you can really change how your story progresses. Like, if you kill certain NPCs, you can kill every NPC in the game, and that'll completely change the story that happens in the game itself. And players will reflect on that, and other NPCs will reflect on that as well. And so I feel like that's really utilizing, like, the medium of a game to tell a story more effectively than just, like, a success, like a, you know, progression of movies that you watch after you hit enough buttons.
Fair enough. Anything else you want to say? You want to conclude that in any way?
No, I mean,
any way, shape, or form?
that's
All
pretty
right,
much it.
cool. Let's move on. Jess, what's your topic of the week?
My topic is about Grand Theft Auto Online. Grand Theft Auto 5 Online goes live on October 1st.
Which is next week.
Which is
this week for you
yeah,
guys.
you
Next
guys
week
will,
for us. We
it's
record on
probably
Thursdays.
like
Release on
Tuesday
Mondays.
or Wednesday of the
Conversational
week that
podcast.
You'll be hearing
Mom.
this.
Go on.
Yeah, but it's gonna be released, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not a big multiplayer online kind of person, so just for me to be excited about anything online is just amazing. And it's also been proven that GTA 5 Online will include microtransactions, which basically you use real money to buy in-game money.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, I heard something about rich people being able to kick ass in games like that when you can do stuff like that. Is there any way to get around that?
Yeah. Brendan, in the crappy version of the podcast that we recorded earlier.
Not that I made it crappy.
No, it wasn't Brendan's fault.
No, definitely not. But it said that Rockstar is doing something to basically prevent rich people from ruling GTA 5
what are they
Online.
doing, Brendan?
Well, they're doing something like you can buy extra weapons, but you still have to unlock like the tiers as you level up. So you can't just buy like an extremely high level weapon or car.
Yeah, you can't buy everything right away. You have to actually play it to get high enough to do that.
What still bothers me is that it's still totally like pay to win. Like, for example,
yeah.
Like, it's what ruins games like League of Legends for them, because when people who pay have a direct advantage over people who have not paid, then it really unbalances the game.
I agree.
And so you can't really have like a fair multiplayer game without balance, in my opinion.
Do you guys ever buy microtransaction things in
Refuse
games?
to do it out of principle.
You do, or you don't? Have you guys ever done it?
I
refuse to do it out of pocket.
Out of pocket? Yeah, no money. No money.
Hey, according to a rap song, I have less problems.
Okay. Anyways, Jess.
I play Wizards 101. I don't care. It's an awesome game.
And you do?
I pay to play like per month. I don't ever do it like a yearly subscription because I go like times like this where I don't play that much and it's a waste of money.
Pay to play subscriptions, not microtransactions.
Yeah.
Well, it's either you pay to play or you can go in and you buy like the next level or you buy like it's microtransactions too. But I choose to do monthly subscription. But I've done buy the crowns or whatever too.
I'm not really about microtransactions. I mean, I've done it in games where it's like DLC single player stuff. Where like in the Tales games, you can buy plus 300,000 gold, which is money. It's some things like that, and I do that, but it's only single player, so it's not affecting anybody else. So it's not making me any better to fight anybody else. It's making me better for a single player game.
I hate like when companies do like pre-order bonuses, for example. They give you like a direct advantage for people who don't pre-order the game, and so that like unbalances the game in itself. And I like having the challenge and having to build all those things up on my own. So why would I just want to pay to get rid of that in the first place?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how well this pays off for Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto. If it does anything, if people like it, who knows? It could end up being a flop. It could end up being really cool. It could change the way microtransactions work or change the way online games work like that, free open world games. But, whatever. You have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, they said that you can still make money just as easily without buying, like without using money to get more money. It just takes more time. You just have to be patient.
Yeah.
So but it sounds really cool.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
But the Rockstar just encourages everyone to be really patient in their first few weeks of doing online. GTA
Typical
5.
online thing.
Yeah.
Servers are going to crash. All that good stuff.
Yeah,
so
they're still
be
buying
prepared if
servers.
you're going to play that.
Yeah.
Who knows? They could end up being good though. You never know. Brendan, you got a good topic? You have anything cool to say?
Yeah, I was wondering what your guys' favorite like in-game tools or weapons have been, like for any game you've played.
Any game we've played.
Gravity gun for me, honestly, and
that's from what game?
Half-Life 2.
All right.
And so basically, it's like this tool you can use to like pick up objects and like throw
Including
them at
gnomes.
things.
Including gnomes.
Yeah.
You want to
and-
explain that? I don't.
Well, yeah, there's like a little garden gnome thing that you can like bring throughout the entire game with you called Gnome Chomsky, and like if you bring it through the whole game, you get an achievement or whatever, and
Sounds
it's
kinky.
a recurring joke, and it's like in Left 4 Dead 2 and stuff.
Oh,
So-
okay. Jess, do you have a favorite tool?
Yes, the dubstep gun
Oh,
from
yeah.
Saints Row 4.
Explain that for us.
It's like this gun. It's like huge gun. Like it's just really big, and it's like you like press the trigger like you're gonna shoot bullets, and it like shoots out beams of light to like the beat of dubstep music, and like everyone
dance.
around. Yeah, like everyone around like stops and like starts doing like random dances to the dubstep music, and you hit them with the light, and they die, and it's just so great. I just love it.
Well, at least they die happy, you know, dancing,
No,
doing the
they
dubstep
look
thing.
like they scream too. Like you hear screams too, because they can't like control their bodies. They're just dancing. So like I don't know, people who don't like dancing are forced to embarrass
just
themselves
dancing.
before they die.
Okay, Brendan, you have one?
Yeah, definitely the hook shot from the Ocarina of Time.
Explain that one for us.
Oh,
for
basically-
those who didn't play it.
You can get this one grappling hook type object that basically you can thrust into any wooden object or or any target, and it'll take you to
I don't need
target?
a hook shot to do that.
Rogue leader.
Then you can get an extendable
You guys
like,
ever had
long
sex with
shot.
a tree before, by the way?
What the crap?
Okay.
Nathan?
There's some pretty sexy trees out there.
There
I'm
are
not
some
gonna
sexy ones like the oaks.
lie. Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Definitely like a nice aged redwood.
yeah,
know what
you
I'm
can
saying?
just like watch yourself like fly across the water temple all day.
Awesome. I don't really remember much about it. I played Ocarina of Time with some friends, and so like it was when I was little. So
I think it's made an appearance in almost every iteration of.
oh yeah, I think I do remember some stuff like that in different Zelda games
Yeah,
because
it's
I have
even
played
Link to
Wind
the
Waker.
Past. It's all the way back since then.
Okay. My favorite tool or weapon would be the Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts, and it's a sword that is in the shape of a key. And he uses the main character Sora uses it to lock worlds, and he goes to all these different Disney worlds. And it's like every world he goes to after he saves it, he gets a new Keyblade, and it's in like the form of something that has to do with that world. So like Halloween Town, there was like a skeleton key and things like that. And so they're really cool. I really enjoyed that growing up, and I still do. Yeah, that's pretty badass. Anybody else have any cool ideas other than the dildo from Saints Row?
Yeah.
Well, the penetrator was a very formidable weapon.
Was that the dildo?
I seriously
Yeah,
did like that
the
entire
penetrator.
game,
You
just
could
using the
whoop
penetrator. Like
people
it's
with
really
that.
fun.
You
I
could
just-
kill.
the AI
What about
in
the
game is really
Apaka
stupid.
fist from?
I don't need anything else.
Apaka
All you
fist?
need is the
It's basically a
dildo.
giant fist that when you punch something, it explodes.
The funny part about the dildo is like it just wobble around.
Yeah,
Like it
it
just
has like jiggle bones and stuff.
I am so confused. I don't know what to say. Okay, anyways.
Why are you looking up all the images of it though?
Moving. Shut up! Don't tell people what I'm doing. My topic of the week is something good. It's the switching of console alliances. Have any of you actually switched console alliances before?
Yes,
Yep,
multiple times.
I think.
Like what?
I
What'd you start with?
I started out, well, basically like Nintendo stuff, but during that I became pretty loyal to the PS2.
By the way, Nate is over there trying to find something because his coffee cup just broke, and so he needs something new. This is a conversational podcast. We do shit like this. Go on. Start out with Nintendo. What'd you move on to?
Well, I played Nintendo for like the entire time, but I got really loyal to Sony and was playing a lot of PS2 games.
Yeah, like what?
Like Battlefield 2, Lilo or Stitch, Crash Bandicoot,
Bandicoot.
like several of those games. Wrath of Cortex.
Why'd you pronounce it Bandicoot? It's Bandicoot.
Bandicoot.
Come on, man.
I have Latin in my class, and it's always like long eyes. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm totally blanking on it, but there's like a phrase that Aku Aku says like all the
Yes,
time,
I
and it's
don't
like
remember.
I don't
it's
remember.
like
No, that's what he sounds like.
He says
just-
something.
he
And
says something,
I used
like,
to say it
every
all the
time.
Yeah,
time.
yeah, something.
it's like put it with it. It's like,
Put it in that
Go,
ass.
whatever.
All right, Jess. What about your console alliances? Have you switched before?
Yeah, I started out with Nintendo like everyone else in the world, and then I went to PlayStation 2
Informed.
actually, and yeah.
Go on.
Because I don't know. I don't know. It's just PlayStation 2. Like I had the big one and then the tiny one.
PS2 good games.
She had the big
one.
one.
It's like the best-selling console of all time.
Yeah.
She said big one and tiny
All
one.
right. Anyways.
Go on. What'd you play?
And then I don't.
Why did you switch? You know?
Well,
Did your family buy it or?
we actually what ended up happening was I had the PS2 and then someone gave us an Xbox, like the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And then I played the crap out of that, and then I'm not even gonna get to what happened to that. And then
She stepped on it.
Xbox, no, not
Had to
even.
have it.
It
Okay,
got
move
pawned
on.
off. Anyway.
Whoa! Pawned off. What a bitch. Family members are dicks.
Yeah, and then what?
Well, I was gonna say, I actually got my PS2 because my parents bought it for me, and all it had on it was Gran Turismo 3.
Oh, racing.
And I'm like 9 at the time, right? And like, what the fuck does a 9-year-old care about a realistic racing game? Like, I don't give a shit. I don't
Yeah.
even know enough about cars.
You need kart racing
Realistic
or
racing
something.
game?
I actually
Is there such a
never.
thing?
Yeah, no, Gran Turismo and Forza shit.
Gran
Like, it's
Turismo,
for
yeah.
like gearheads and shit.
Not
Yeah.
not for me.
I don't like having
I
to tune up my
rescind my
fucking
statement.
car for 4 hours though before I go race. Like, because what happened is I never played my PS2 for 3 years until I got Burnout Revenge,
Yeah.
which is like the least realistic racing game of all time.
Oh, I remember
And-
that game. That was awesome.
And that was awesome, and I love that.
Jess, how did you get to Xbox 360?
I don't really know. I think it was just a fad kind of thing. Like everyone had an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I was like, I need one to stay in the
It was
loop.
very popular when it came out.
I do remember though, my PlayStation 2. I played Ratchet and Clank. I had all
I
of
love
those,
Ratchet and
all
Clank.
of them, but now
I
it's
can't really play it anymore.
yeah.
It's just not as fun
There are
anymore.
too many of them, to be
Well, that
honest.
too. For me, I started out with PlayStation, like actual console gaming with cool borders. So I was a snowboarder, cool guy, you know. I did that stuff. I played Crash. I played
Did you
Spyro.
play like SSX Tricky or
I played
something like
SSX
that?
Tricky.
Yeah,
I was into all that stuff on the PlayStation
Oh,
1,
that's
PlayStation
the
The original
2.
Spider-Man game. That was my shit.
I played the
for
Digimon
PS1.
games, Digimon World games.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love those games. Still play them. Oh, still have them. But,
The first season's on Netflix.
yeah, and it's in Japanese, so I don't like it.
No, it's in English too.
Oh, is it now? Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you can
it's under a
switch now,
different
can't
title.
you? Yeah. Okay, well, anyways.
I don't understand Digimon. Like, I've always felt
They're
it's like
digital monsters.
It's like
that
it's like
evolve.
the Mega Blocks to Pokemon's Lego. You know
This,
what I mean? Like,
this
it
is
just
an
seemed like a
argument for
bad
another
design.
day. This is an argument for another day.
I will talk to you about this after the podcast.
No, we will save this because this could be argued. I'm on your side, man. All right. I then switched over to the Xbox 360 because my sister's boyfriend brought over his and showed me Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and I fell in love with the whole magic sword wielding, all that stuff. It just seemed badass to me. So I begged my grandpa. He bought me one, and I went through about 5 or 6 of them because of the Red Ring of Death. Kept buying them and got sick of it, and also ended up playing just about every single major release on the 360, and I just ran out of games to play. And so it was last spring I decided that I would get a PlayStation 3 because one of my friends had it, and so since then I have not looked back. I am all Sony again. I'm playing all of the games that I missed over the past 6 years of its life cycle. It's like having a brand new like next gen console release is when you get a console that you haven't played during the last six or 7 years. So it's pretty awesome for me. So now I'm a Sony guy.
Didn't you guys have a Dreamcast, by the way?
I did. Yes, I did.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't. I sold it.
Damn it!
Yeah, a
I've
long
always
time ago.
wanted one.
I played
want to play
Sonic.
Jet Set Radio so bad.
The Dreamcast was a very popular, well, niche console. It was very popular for the niche community, and it has a lot of good games.
Yeah,
very
I hear,
advanced.
I hear Jet Set Radio is really cool. I hear that Shenmue is really cool. I wanted to play both of them, but never got the chance to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and for me,
Oh, yeah.
I started out with a PS2, but that was mostly just because it had most of the better games on it, and because, like I said a second ago, my parents bought it for me, and so I was like, okay, whatever.
Whatever.
Shout out to mom and dads
But,
everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, mama.
except for like the bad ones.
Hey, mama. That shit to me.
Like, but
So,
yeah.
anyways,
So when Halo 3 came out, I was really following it heavily, and I was like, oh man, this looks awesome. And so I ended up like getting an Xbox 360 to play Halo 3 with my friends and stuff. But I never really say I had like an alliance though to either console or PC for that matter. Even though I play mostly PC games at this point.
but you are a PC gamer now. You
Yes.
don't consider yourself a console gamer at all.
Not really.
But you do play them when they're good games.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Like I bought GTA 5.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not on PC yet, right?
No.
I heard there's
that's
I heard-
why I didn't get it.
Yeah, I heard there's a huge what are they called? petition, and it's like 500,000 signatures or something. They're trying to get it put on PC.
Rockstar always kind of fucks up their ports, though. So
Yeah.
GTA 4's ports was god awful. It doesn't even work anymore, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, because Games Windows Live is fucking up and shutting down now and stuff. So
Oh yeah, no, they closed it, aren't they? Or aren't they?
yeah, they're closing it.
Yeah.
So apparently, right now, unconfirmed, but you cannot actually play GTA 4 even in single player anymore because you cannot connect to the Windows servers.
Well, that's kind of shitty for people who have a game.
Yep, unless you pirate it.
Yeah, that's
Then
true.
you can actually completely play the game if you pirate it.
Yeah, because it's not going through Windows Live.
Which you shouldn't do.
Or Games with Windows or whatever it's called. Yeah,
Or
we're not telling you to
pirating
buy
Or
it.
Podcast
like you
does
can use like the
not
crack that
support
comes in
Pirate
pirate
Bay or any
torrents
other
to like crack your own bot game.
Crack your own bot game. That's kinky. Moving on to listener questions from Jessica on Facebook. What do you think about gaming on smartphones? What are your thoughts? Are they real games? Are they phone gaming systems? Strong beliefs about this one. You guys go first.
I don't really understand the question. It's like
I'm just
I
gonna
never heard of
say-
like people who like game on smartphones. Like whenever someone's like, "Yeah, I'm a gamer. Like I mostly play like Candy Crush. Like
Plants
I'm
vs.
pretty
Zombies.
hardcore Candy Crush player."
I'm gonna say there's a time and a place for gaming on your phone, even though I don't consider it to be a major gaming platform. But it's something that you can play and waste time on when you are like, as Courtney said in the failed podcast, like on the bus or just
Yeah, when you have a few minutes to spare and you need to burn some time, I believe that's an okay place to game.
But honestly, though, I feel like the touchscreen really limits the ability for mobile gaming to really take off because with the lack of other kind of inputs and buttons, you're really limiting the ability for games to really be designed for it. So I think that touchscreen gaming hasn't really gone off just inherently because of the limits of touchscreen gaming.
On
That's
games
fact.
where they've tried to put like stick on it, it's just horribly
yeah, I heard it's really
useless.
inaccurate. It's really inaccurate.
There are
It's
a
so
few
annoying to use.
good point and clicky adventure games like old school inspired like Sam & Max stuff that are on the Nexus and for tablets and stuff. I can't remember the name of this one I was playing actually. I'll put it up in the blog once I remember it, but it was pretty fun. Check them out in the store. They're pretty good.
There was like a good 2 or 3 hour game called Thor. That's a pretty good point and click one.
Mm-hmm. Was it about the Thor movie or?
It was about Thor, kind of along those lines, but it was like free, and so it was pretty much worth the 2 clicks I got to download it.
What about you, Jess? What do you think about phone gaming?
Phone game, I think it has potential. Like, I'm not gonna completely bash it because I have spent some time on phone games, especially when like there were downtimes in my financial state where I couldn't buy like console games. And, but there's only like one really big one that I gotten into is Battle Bears. If anyone's ever heard of it, I love you. Because it's like this teddy bear with a machine gun. He's like shooting Care Bears or anything like it. And when they died, like a rainbow would shoot out and there's rainbow colored blood everywhere. And it's just so great. I'm sorry. It's just so great. I will defend it.
This is the part of the podcast where we smash at children's dreams.
Like, really, Jessica, I have feelings for you just because of that game, but like, there's not those kind of feelings. Wow. Anyway, I mean, like, I'm just saying that, like, if you are a phone gamer, that I understand you, but
Okay.
they're not systems.
Me, on the other hand, I have very, very strong feelings about this. I think it has a lot to do with kids these days and how they have no attention span. And,
Kids these days.
And
They don't know.
games, you only need 30 seconds to a minute to play a full game, things like that. They can't stand any longer. Now, like, you play a console game, you play a game like Final Fantasy, or you play an Elder Scrolls, something like that. It could take you 60, 100 hours, things like that. Kids cannot stand that these days. They have to have short games, and that just bugs the shit out of me. It's like you can't read a book without reading half a page and then quitting and moving on to something else and then coming back and reading half a page. People need longer attention spans. People need to stop being scatterbrained over everything. That's my belief. I mean, I know there are people who like it, and it has a place for it in everything. Like Brennan said just a minute ago, and how I said on the last podcast, was that you can play it on a bus, you can play it when you're walking to class, something like that, when you have a few minutes to burn. But I don't consider it a gaming console. I don't consider it real games. You're not a gamer if you play phone games. That's plain and simple. Next question from Erica on Facebook. I think you guys should name the best games in your opinion on PC and other systems. I'm curious to know your favorites. We're going to go with favorites and not best games because those are two different arguments, as Nate pointed out during the Fail podcast.
Because,
So,
Lightning
favorite
round,
games.
go.
Some of your favorite games on the console or on consoles and PC. Brendan, go.
Ocarina of Time, Fable 2, and Banjo and Kazooie.
Anyways, Jess.
All the Assassin's Creed games. One being kind of iffy. I can't remember any of the other ones that I said. So let's just say that I like any sports game because they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't remember any of the other ones I said, so it'll be all right. I'll put something on the website to actually do it, but like I've lost memory as time goes
Nate,
on.
what's your favorite?
in no particular order, Super Mario 64, Deus Ex, Half-Life 2. I like the original Portal. I like the original Bioshock. I think that Warcraft 3 is an alright game. Yeah, that's right up top of my head.
Games I like are the Assassin's Creed series, Fallout 3, Kingdom Hearts, the Tales series, Final Fantasy 13, Lost Odyssey, the Elder Scrolls series. I like a lot of games. It's really hard to pinpoint one favorite game. So any of those games, if anybody hasn't played any of them, should pick them up. They should just GameFly, Redbox, anything you can to get any of these games and just try them out. They're all good. Okay, next question is from Robbie on the email, and he wanted us to paraphrase it, but I'm not going to because it's funnier not to because he just rambled. All right, ready? So, are you guys ready for another question? I hope so, LOL. This week's question is... ... Has anyone else noticed the overall staleness of the FPS genre on consoles lately? And by this, I mean every single Call of Duty game is virtually the exact same thing with slightly different classes and perks. Gears of War has nothing new to offer since their groundbreaking cover system, and Halo completely sold out and made class systems like Call of Duty. We have seen this before. I want something new. And it just doesn't seem to be out there. Maybe you guys could recommend something to me or join the bashing of the latest FPS fan club with me. Either way, discuss. LOL. And feel free to paraphrase this as more of a question since it turns out to be a little bit of a rant.
LOL.
Okay,
Hello.
so like first of all, I don't really
Hashtag.
understand what is meant by Gears of War's groundbreaking cover system. Because like
It wasn't
I've definitely,
2006.
I mean, there were games with cover systems before.
Yeah, there were, but it was new to consoles. It was new. I remember I had never played a game where covering was as simple as it was in that game. For me, for a first-person shooter like that, I don't know. It just seemed like it was good, and everyone refers to that as groundbreaking. Also, so it's not just me. It's not just Robbie.
But I mean, like honestly though, I wouldn't really say that FPS games have like recently been stale because the FPS genre has been stale for a long ass time. Like I don't know if you guys remember this, but I mean, there was a period of like 5 years where there was just nothing but World War II games that came out. And then it just...
Medal of Honor, Call
and
of
then
Duty.
once Modern Warfare came out, it all switched to killing terrorists instead of killing Nazis.
Yep.
But, I mean, it didn't really change all that much.
And then World at War went back to World War II. Then it came back. Brendan, do you like FPS games? What do you think?
I like FPS games a lot. I don't care really if they're getting stale because I like the way it is.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to really complain about it.
So do you enjoy like the story part or the multiplayer or what?
I don't really enjoy the multiplayer, and that's probably why I'm not bothered by it.
Yeah, as much as other people.
Because I suck.
Yeah. Well, to each their own. Everybody has their own good things and bad things. I love it. I'm good at it. Well,
I'm good at messing around and wasting time.
I wouldn't say I love it. I'm just good.
Wow.
I'm good at FPS
How are you guys
multiplayer.
missing all those innuendos? Okay, anyway.
We're ignoring.
Clean podcast.
Jess, what do you
Alright.
think? FPS good, bad, stale, what?
And yeah, like I said last podcast,
Let's try.
Yeah, I'm not a big first-person shooter. That's what FPS means.
Yeah,
but I'm
sorry.
not a big first-person shooter person because of the fad that seems to have taken over the gaming world. Like, everyone swears that, like, you're not a gamer unless you know how to play FPS. And I know how to play it, I just choose not to. And so, like, that just, the whole thing just missed me because I can't with the whole... I'm a gamer because I like to play Call of Duty and Call of Duty alone.
Sorry, that was my phone, guys.
Woo! Vibrate.
So you're not a girl FPS player?
No. Like, and I mean, there are girl FPS gamers, but it's just like you can't define yourself as a gamer because you play FPS and all you do is multiplayer with your friends. So, yeah. Everyone's having fun with their phones right now.
Hey. Oh, sorry. We're not ignoring you. I'm sending a video on Snapchat to people.
No, it's cool. Don't worry about it.
FPS, to me, it is. I agree with them for the most part. Is they're growing stale for me. I didn't even play Black Ops 2. Like, it just didn't interest me in the least. And so the latest FPS I've played is Killzone, and that's just because I missed out on the Killzone series growing up. And now that I'm playing PS3 again, I like it. It's cool. It's new. It's a FPS game that I haven't played in so long. And so, like, you look at Killzone 1, it was crap in 2001 or 2002. And you look at Killzone 2, and it came out a few years ago, and it was epic. Like, it improved on everything that Killzone 1 sucked at. So, I think for the most part, some of us agree with you, Robbie. Some of us disagree. I guess it's all preference for who likes shooters, who doesn't. And who knows? Some of us, me and Nate, may go back to shooters eventually if they can change it up enough, if it can be good enough.
Start on shooters.
Yeah, and
maybe.
Jess might start on one. Who knows?
You know.
Next question is from Bobby on Facebook. He says, Western RPGs or JRPGs? Pros, cons, can you compare them, giving examples of each? For those of you who don't know, Western RPGs are Western role-playing games. Things like Mass Effect, Skyrim, Fallout, things like that. JRPGs are Japanese RPGs, or Japanese role-playing games, and those are like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, the Tales series, Lost Odyssey, and there's a huge difference in my opinion. And my opinion is that Western RPGs lack in story. This is not speaking for all of them, obviously. This is only some of them. But most of them I've played, their story is almost non-existent. It's just to release you into an open world and go out and just do shit. Kill things, follow these little quest lines, things like that. Now, there are other games who excel in storytelling, such as Mass Effect. They do a good way of telling story compared to... No, I'm comparing it to free open world games like Oblivion. There's actually story to follow in Mass Effect, and it continues.
Okay.
Things like Oblivion, it's kind of iffy. It's open, it's left open, do it whenever kind of thing. JRPGs have a strong emphasis on story, and they make you care about characters. They make you cry when somebody dies, or they make you follow a romance in a story, things like that. Now, obviously, this isn't speaking for all of them either, so not all JRPGs are better than Western RPGs. But in my belief, I have a strong preference towards JRPGs. I like the story. I like how long they are. I like to care about the characters more than I like gameplay. Do you guys have any preferences? Have you played enough or played any of either?
I played a lot of Western RPGs, and I kind of like messing around, but I also like the story to be long so that it can keep me occupied, since I'm not that interested in multiplayer in games.
Yeah, it's to each their own. I actually just recently let Jess borrow Final Fantasy 13, which is a JRPG. What do you think? Can you see the difference between the Western RPGs you've played and that?
Yeah, I've played a few Western RPGs, and there's a big difference. Even if, regardless of if it's good or bad or whatever, there's a huge difference because in the JRPG that I'm playing right now, which is Final Fantasy 13, that Courtney let me borrow. I'm sorry. It's just the storyline is just so compelling. It's hard not to develop feelings and be into the storyline because I've only seen one flashback and I'm already attached to several characters. I'm interested in the ones that I don't know about because they make you look at them as such a mystery, and so there's just so much detail into the storyline I can't, and it's there's a path that you follow and blah blah. There's not a lot of free roam aspect to it, but it's still an amazing experience.
It's a story experience is what most people play it for. But moving on to the next question.
Oh, I had something to say.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Totally spacing off there for a sec. I feel like Western RPGs in general have been more fulfilling for me because the emphasis on gameplay is, first of all, a lot bigger for me.
For sure.
But I do feel that there was heydays for each of them. I feel that Japanese RPGs have gotten a lot better today than they were in the 90s, for example. In the 90s, I'd say games like Planescape Torment and Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter's Night and the first Fallout games and Wasteland and stuff were miles ahead, just gameplay and story-wise in terms of the JRPGs of the day, like Chrono Trigger, which is still a great game, by the way.
And we're in no way saying that any type of RPG is better than the other. They all have their perks.
Mm-hmm.
Each person has their preference, and both JRPG and Western RPGs influence each other over time.
Yeah.
Whatever, when something becomes popular, the other side will adopt it and put it into all their games, and then vice versa. It just keeps going back and forth. So.
But I feel like the Western RPGs game have basically become, like really like hashed out, cliched, trite games, and like Mass Effect's practically just like a homosexual love simulator at this point. And like I think the JRPGs are actually the ones that are really expanding and breaking the most ground in comparison to Western RPGs.
Next question is from Steven on our email, which is mong.podcast@gmail.com. Remember that. Email us questions for next week. Steven says, with the release of Assassin's Creed 4 and Call of Duty Ghosts later this year, and Grand Theft Auto last week, we see two different approaches to franchise management. So think of your favorite franchise. Would you rather see one good game every year, or instead see the development team take their time and release a groundbreaking game every 4 to 5 years? What do you guys think?
I'm definitely a fan of the whole Valve time system, especially since I'm someone who's been waiting like 9 years at this point for episode 3 to come out. And I'm still, I'm not mad at Valve for taking 9 years to do it, because I feel that, you should wait as long as you need to release a game that you feel is good, rather than what the stockholders feel is good.
I agree, yeah.
Because, when you're just trying to push out a sequel, you have to rush, and you have to, get rid of things, and I feel that it's not a good way to make games.
Different companies have their own way of doing it, and some companies are good at releasing every year games. Some companies suck at it. What do you think, Brendan?
I like a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm following two different franchises, I like one of them to have a game every single year. That way I can play that while I'm waiting for the other franchise to take a couple of years.
So, for example, you're playing Call of Duty every year while you're waiting for the next Elder Scrolls game. No, this is an example. You'd something like Call of Duty every year, but you're playing that in between something like Elder Scrolls. You're waiting for their next release, and it's keeping you busy playing those every year releases. Is that the kind of example you're giving?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that makes sense, because you want different styles of games. Different companies make different styles, and different companies release on different schedules. So, I agree.
But what I do hate is I hate to be just waiting for a game.
Oh, yeah. Like 9 years from Valve.
Yeah, no.
That's a long time.
The wait from Half-Life 1 for Half-Life 2 was still 6 years.
Jeez. Well, it's kind of like Elder
Isn't
Scrolls.
that because someone took something off of Gabe Newell's computer and they had to redo it?
No, I mean, they didn't have to redo anything, but some kid apparently hacked into Valve's internal servers. Some 13-year-old who lived in Europe hacked into them and stole all the Half-Life 2 source code in 2003.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, FBI got involved and they raided the kid's house.
Oh,
yep.
damn.
Try explaining that to Mom and Dad.
Jess, what do you think? You like every year or not?
I like it. I mean, there's some decent games that come out every year, like Assassin's Creed. I mean, come on. But
come on.
I prefer waiting the every 4 or 5 years, because I think it ends up being worth the wait.
Yeah, it gives you more time to be anxious and
definitely.
prepared for it. And you get burnt out if it's every year. Like me in Call of Duty, I don't care for it anymore because it's every freaking year. Come on.
What do you mean, Call of Duty Ghosts?
Whatever. You play as dogs and chicks. That's all that matters.
Didn't you get turned off of the GTA series by expecting too much though?
I'm still confused, so I don't really know. It could have been that I played it a lot as a kid, because Vice City, or Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas all released really close to each other, and so I could have got burnt out on that. It could have been that I just had no time for GTA 4 or something. I have no idea. There was a combination of things. I could have expected a lot out of it. Something happened, and I just hate it now. And you can read my blog post about it. You'll be just as confused as I am.
You should read the blog.
As for me, games that release every year, some games are good at it. I agree with Jess with Assassin's Creed, but I don't completely agree because, well, not with Jess. I agree with her, but I have to explain this. Assassin's Creed has 2 different development teams, and they release a game every other year. So they're actually working on 2 years per game. So it's making it better than it would be had they only worked on it for a year and just one company doing one game every single year. That makes sense to me. I still would like to see maybe 2 years in between. That would make it a little bit better, because then they'd have a 3 or 4 year span to work on each game. But yeah. So next question from Joe on Twitter. Funny that we mentioned this. Grand Theft Auto 5 or Vice City? Vice City was maybe the most popular video game I can ever remember. I say Vice City because I actually played the shit out of that, and I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5 and don't plan on it. So, what about you guys?
Well, yeah. See, I barely played Vice City, so like my opinion is kind of biased. I'm going to go 5 though, because honestly, I feel that they really have progressed and like they're.
Oh yeah.
Like I think what really sets GTA apart from like Saints Row, for example, is that like they have this like satirical spin on the world at hand during the time period that they released their game, and so I think that GTA 5 is a very like evolved critique of modern society in comparison. Like Saints Row is just like, you have superpowers.
Penetrator.
Yeah,
as
like,
a weapon.
Hey.
It's just about being as ridiculous and like random
some
as
people
possible.
like me like that. I like silly
I
games.
guess, but I don't. Like Saints Row is not really for me as like great of a game as
Grand
Grand Theft Auto was.
Yeah. What about you, Brennan? Vice City or Grand Theft Auto 5?
Never played a Grand Theft Auto game.
Oh yeah, tell the story about that. What was it like?
I grew up for about 11 years in a fundamentalist Christian school, and so when I associated GTA with sin, don't do that.
But he
killing hookers.
watched South Park. So
Well, that was like in freshman year.
Oh, okay.
That was my rebellion.
Could have played. Oh yeah,
Oh,
your
yeah.
rebellion. You were being hardcore.
I also let my hair grow past the top of my ears.
Oh, you dirty boy. Jess, what about you?
I loved Vice City when I was growing up because like that was like my first exposure to the adult world, and
was
oh
like
my
80s.
god, strip clubs, and oh my god,
Oh,
blah,
yeah.
blah blah. But I was like really into it back then, but specifically for those reasons. I don't know if I actually focused on the actual game, but I'd have to say Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't think you can compare any Grand Theft Auto game with Saints Row because they're just kind of different. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 is kind of more serious. Like
Oh yeah.
Saints Row is like it's a joke game. It's
Well,
meant to be a funny game.
Saints Row started out as a serious game, didn't
Yeah,
it? Like
yeah,
the
it
first one, the
started
second
out- it
one,
definitely
and then
started out
they
as
probably
a
couldn't
serious
compete
one.
with Grand Theft Auto, so they had to just change it. They had to be
Yeah.
like, we have to be outrageous
worked.
now. Yeah, now people buy it a lot. It's really popular.
Hilarious. But yeah, GTA 5.
Like some of the dialogue, just the passing dialogue in Saints Row the Third was some of the funniest that I'd heard inside a video game.
I don't doubt it. I still haven't played those games, so I can't say anything about it. Next question is from Emily on Facebook, and she says, "What's your favorite Pokemon?"
Togepi.
Nate likes Togepi.
like
Gets all the
Charizard.
bitches.
Brendan likes Charizard
So
because
cliche.
Yeah, I know.
So
I was
cop
like
out
a
question.
7-year-old
Or cop out
kid, and I saw a giant fire-breathing dragon, and I thought that's the best one.
Yeah, that's fucking
Look,
cool.
Togepi sits in Misty's tits all day, gets all the bitches.
Dude, she's like 10 years old.
literally saves
No,
the day.
she's like 12. You have to be 12 to be Pokemon trainer, right?
No,
Yeah.
10.
Oh,
10.
balls!
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit.
She's like a gym leader.
What,
so
is
she's
that going to
older.
make her more not
I think
legal?
she's like Brock's age.
Yeah, she was older than Ash.
Yeah, she was like 16.
Because she was
No,
a gym leader.
She was a lot younger than that.
No,
she was definitely like Brock was like weirdly old, like
Yeah.
10 years older than
Brock
him.
was a weird ass.
But like
He liked all the
Misty
little
was like
girls.
in between.
No, he
Brock
liked
and-
Nurse Joy, and they were old enough to.
Well, that was all the same woman.
They were sisters and cousins.
Yeah, whatever.
right.
They all looked the same, sounded the same, talked the same, and they all had the same name.
And Officer Jenny,
Officer Jenny, yeah. She was
Officer
hot.
Jenny had much hotter.
She was hot, yeah.
The
Oh,
academy.
wow.
Pokemon.
Anyways.
Woo! Jess, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur.
Cute.
Yeah, little green guy.
Cute.
I'd have to say mine is Squirtle and Togepi because they were both cute and badass. Togepi could do the metronome thing and do basically anything, kick anybody's ass, and
Togepi
Squirtle...
does not belong to Misty rightfully.
Yeah, Ash found the egg. I know. Chicken or
Yeah,
the egg, guys.
but-
Chicken or the egg.
But Togepi
No, it's Togepi
doesn't
in
accept
the egg.
Togepi
no
in the egg.
one except for bitches in his life.
Yeah, and Misty
And he's
is a
just
hot
got
bitch.
so many bitches he can't keep track of them.
But Squirtle wore some kick-ass glasses, sunglasses,
but
the Squirrel Club or whatever.
How many
He's
bitches
badass.
does Squirtle have?
Squirtle doesn't need
Think about
bitches. The Squirrel Squad. Yes, that's it.
In no way does the MONG
got you.
podcast refer to women as bitches.
Yeah, we
except,
don't.
except for Togepi.
Except for
Except
Togepi
for
getting his bitches.
Pokemon.
All right, that's it for the questions. Remember to email us mong.podcast@gmail.com for questions next week. We will answer them on the next podcast or the podcast after that. Just depends on how many we get. Moving on to what are you playing right now? Jess, what are you playing?
I'm playing Final Fantasy 13, like I said earlier, and I'm playing GTA 5 because they're both really long games. And I can't wait to finish one of them because I'm too impatient.
Yeah, they're both sound. Or I know 13's a good game, and I hear Grand Theft Auto is a good game. So
It's a good game.
you're not missing out on anything there. You're playing some good ones. Nate, what are you playing?
I'm actually playing GTA 5, and I'm playing this game on the PS2 right now. I picked it up at the Game Cave. It's called Killer 7. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it.
Is that based off of that gun? Isn't there like a Killer 7 gun or something like that?
I
don't remember.
No
Anyways,
idea.
go on.
It's basically like this like kind of art game, like it's like a rail shooter thing. Like you shoot these things called Heaven Smiles, and it's sort of horror-y.
Some gay.
It's really weird to explain, but
And
like
lame.
it's basically if you ever played any other Suda51 game, like Lollipop Chainsaw, or it's kind of in that like weird vein, but much weirder than Lollipop Chainsaw. Like, I played Flower, Sun, and Rain, which was this game that came out on the PS1 way back when, only in Japan, and then they re-released it on the DS. Now it's super cool, but I'm really loving it. Check it out if you can.
I'm playing NCAA Football 14, so I think it's better than last year's game, actually. It's taking a little bit of time to get used to the recruiting and stuff, but I'm enjoying it. What are you playing, Brendan?
All the batteries in my controller died, and I don't want to go out and buy more.
Oh.
So I'm playing the home screen.
I like it. Watch some Netflix.
I go home like tomorrow so I can get batteries then.
Cheap.
Okay, moving on. Game releases next week. What's coming out on Xbox, Jess?
NBA 2K14 and ARES Extinction Agenda, which I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well.
But if you're interested, look it up. On PS3, NBA 2K14 and Rain comes out next week. What's coming out on PC? Nate?
I know that they're also releasing NBA 2K14 on there, and then Arma's doing another thing in preparation for Arma 3, I think. Or it might just be an expansion pack for Arma 2. I don't know the details. There's also a game called Flashback and Record of Argarest War. I don't know anything about that. There's also an NDVN that was released, I think today, actually, which would be Thursday for the people watching this. And it's kind of got this thing like you go into SAR systems and get rid of the entropy in the system to reduce the amount of chaos in the universe. And it's really cool. If you like VNs like that, it's not an Arrow J or anything, so it's completely safe for work, and it's a fun game, and you should check it out. It's only $5.
What are coming out on all the other devices?
For the Wii U, there's the Wind Waker HD remake. It's going to be pretty fun. And for the 3DS, they have Rune Factory 4 and Etrian Odyssey Untold, the Millennium.
I've heard all of those games are good, so, it's whatever. Go buy those games. Support the game industry. Come on now.
Don't pirate.
Alright, now let's do some housekeeping real quick. We record our podcast every Thursday or Friday, and we release it the following Monday morning. So if you're gonna check out, do it Monday morning. We want that big bump right there. No, I didn't. You can also find our podcast on iTunes now, so look up MONG Podcast or MONG or Middle of Nowhere Gaming. Somewhere on there you're going to be able to find it, and you can subscribe to us there, and it'll automatically download every week when we release it. As always, you can request any segments or topics you want us to try out, and we will take that into consideration and try out anything you want us to do. If there's anything cool, we can take that into consideration. Next week we should be setting up an interview with a game developer, and we don't want to tell you who it is or what game they have worked on recently, because we don't know if it's for sure yet, but hopefully it will happen. And so you should definitely tune in to next week's episode, because this developer has worked on some big titles, and it'll be cool to talk to them. Jess, tell them where they can find us.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook if you just search Mong in all caps, or I think if you just search Mong in general. And our Twitter handle is at Mong Podcast. So yeah, follow us on Twitter and stuff, please.
And you can find our website, hopefully you already have since you're listening to this, at www.middleofnowheregaming.com. Be sure and check out the website as much as possible. Check out our blogs. We have some interesting ones going up. We just had Mighty Number 9 topic go up today. We released the Kingdom Hearts and Sleeping Dogs review in the past few days. Just keep checking in. Join the site. Start participating in the forums. Add us as friends on there. It'll be pretty cool. Hopefully we're going to be able to do video reviews coming in the next few weeks, so be checking back for that. We've bought some software and hardware for that, and hopefully we'll be able to put some up. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Osborne_2009. You can find Jess at
Jess Jayhawk. That's right.
And Brendan
At Brendan Jester.
And Nate. Where can we find you online?
If you really want to find me on Twitter, my handle is at BonerPower420 with underscores in each word, and it's all capitalized.
Bad news, ladies, he's taken.
Yeah.
And you can find us all on Facebook by searching our names, which you can find on the website.
Oh, and my Steam ID is conspiracy and then like the number 0. Just search that in the Steam community website and you'll find me.
All right, thank you guys for listening to the second episode, and hopefully this one recorded okay. Yeah!
Fairly
Mom!
well.
Bye.
Peace.
Swag.